In this video, we are going to refactor the movie watchlist application that we created in our previous exercise. And how we are going to do that is earlier we created our own function called createElement that was responsible for creating dynamic HTML with the help of type, attribute, children, and we also added a support for event listeners. Now we have to refactor this application to use React and ReactDOM. We are going to use React for creating elements, and ReactDOM will be used for putting the element that was created using React onto the DOM. So let's go ahead and start working on it. The first thing we need to do for using React and ReactDOM is to put the script there. So this one is for React and this one is for ReactDOM. We are going to put this right above script.js. Why? Because only when we have React and ReactDOM inside this file, we will be able to use React and ReactDOM. So let's save this. And what we will do now is we'll refresh the page. And once we refresh the page, what we can see here, it is displaying a message saying, download the React DevTools for better development experience. So it means that we have our React and ReactDOM loaded in the browser. So we can also look at the React object that comes inside the browser once you add these two scripts. So inside that we have an object and we have a method called createElement. And we can also take a look at ReactDOM. And inside ReactDOM we are going to use the method that is render. So render method is used for rendering the element onto the DOM. So now let's go ahead and use React and ReactDOM to refactor the function that is createMovieUI. So here instead of saying createElement, we'll say React.createElement. And we can also comment out this code because we don't need it anymore. Now, do you think that just by replacing createElement with React.createElement, it will start working? Let's see. So we'll refresh it and here we can see it is not working properly. Why? Let's just try to understand. So here we are creating the HTML element using React.createElement function, and how we are putting it on the DOM. We are using append to do that. But one thing you always need to remember is whenever you are creating element using React, you can only put it on DOM using ReactDOM. You cannot put it directly using append. So here instead of this we are going to say ReactDOM.render. And whenever you want to render something, there are two things that you always need. What do you want to render? So here I want to render li. And the second thing that you need is where do you want to render it? So I need to render it on the root element. And that we are getting access to createMovieUI function. So we'll save it and refresh it. As soon as we refresh it, what we see here is we are getting only one movie. But there were two movies, right? Like we have Forrest Gump and Inception. But why are we only getting one movie? So let us try to understand why it is happening. So React is creating element for each movie here. And what ReactDOM is doing is ReactDOM is taking this li and putting it into root element. And because of that reason, what is happening, the first movie is created, the li is pushed onto the DOM, then second movie is created, the li is pushed into the DOM again. What ReactDOM does, it automatically does what we are doing it here. We don't need to even do this now because ReactDOM is going to take care of that. So now when we refresh it, we see no difference. Everything is working as it was working and we can only see one movie. So to fix this problem, let's just try to experiment something. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this out from this forEach function and put it outside. And here instead of li, let us try to see, can we just display something like div or something like that. So for that, I'm just going to say React.createElement and we want to create a div. And inside that, I just want to have hello world. We'll save it, refresh it here and we can see our hello world. What if I want to have one more element? Say I want to have a p element. So what I can do, I can just copy this thing from here and we'll paste it here. And this one will be p element, and instead of hello world, we'll just say hello paragraph. But we cannot pass it like this, right? Because render will only accept one parameter. And here we have one, and this is the second one. And both needs to be the children, right? So what we can do is we can pass an array of elements. So here, rather than passing multiple elements like this, we can pass in the form of an array. And to separate it, we'll just have to put a comma here. So if you take a look at it, what we are passing inside render, the first thing that we are passing is an array of elements. Now when you refresh it, what do you see? You see both the elements. So here what we get to understand is, render not only accepts one React element, it can also accept multiple React element in the form of an array. So here we are passing multiple elements in the form of array, right? So that is the same thing we need to do here. What we need to do, we need to convert this data. That data looks something like this. So we need to use this data and convert this into an UI. To convert it into a UI, we are going to use React. So instead of using forEach, because forEach doesn't return anything, we are going to use map. Map will give me access to one individual movie, and it will also give me access to index. And from this map, I'm just going to return the React element that we create for each individual movie. So in that way, what will happen is this map will return an array of same size. So what it will do is, we are giving them an array of movies data, but in return, they will give us an array of movies element or movies UI, right? So here I'm just going to store it into a variable called UI. If you want to take a look at UI, you can just say console.log UI. We'll refresh it, and here we can see that UI looks something like this. Can you see it is React.element? And here it is an li element. Inside that we'll have more things, but we don't have to get into that. All we need to understand is this UI is the UI of both the movies. All we need to do now is, rather than sending this, we'll just say get access to UI, refresh it, and what do we see here? We see Forrest Gump and Inception. So both the things are working properly, right? So now our app is working properly. What happens when you add new movie? So we can just say before sunrise, press enter, the movie got added. When we click on to watch, it got converted to watched. When we click on watched, it got converted to watch. So in that way, now our application is working properly even after the UI got converted using React.createElement. So now, rather than we using our own createElement function, we are using React.createElement to create the UI, and we are using ReactDOM.render to render the UI onto the DOM. So in this way, we completed this exercise. And the way we did that is by using map function to convert the data into an array of UI. And then we pass that array into ReactDOM.render. Why we did that is because ReactDOM.render not only accepts an element, it also accepts an array of elements. One important thing to notice here is we did not do anything for event handler. It is just working just by changing create element to React element. Why is it? The reason it works exactly like that is because our createElement function is very similar to how React.createElement is created. They also handle event in the same way that we did it here. They accept onclick as a parameter, and you also have to pass an event handler, and this attribute gets converted into event listener, and it just works like that. And it was intentional from us to create it in this way. So it can just match in the same way that React does it. So in this way, we completed this exercise.